Hey, Kids Creek! My name is Mr. Tim. I'm going to be delivering a story to you this week. I hope you are all well. So in Kids Creek, we'd have a snack. Hopefully you've already had something to eat. And then we do offering, and then we would jump into Memory Verse! Memory Verse? So this week's Memory Verse goes like this. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And it comes from Deuteronomy 6, verse 5. All right, let's spice it up a little bit so we can get it into our brains. All right, so we're going to say, you shall love the Lord your God. What was the first thing you're going to love the Lord your God with? All your heart. And then the next part is all your soul. Well, it's not the same word soul, but the bottom of your foot is called a sole sometimes. So while we're holding on to our heart, we're going to go with all your heart, with all your soul, and the last part with all your might. Oh, man, I'm getting tired just doing this. Whew. And that comes from the book of Deuteronomy, and the way you got to say that is Deuteronomy, dude. Chapter 6, verse 5. So let's try it all together. You repeat after me, and we'll be all bundled up by the end of this. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. You say it. With all your soul. And with all your might. Oh. Deuteronomy, dude. 6:5. All right, one more practice. Do it with me. Come on. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. With all your soul. With all your might. Oh. Deuteronomy, dude. 6:5. That's today's memory verse! Okay, now to get into the story. It sounds like last time we were talking about when Jesus was in the wilderness and he hadn't had anything to eat and he was all by himself and he was tempted and he stood up to the devil. Well, this week's story is going to be the opposite setting. We're going to talk about Jesus at a wedding. So, here's kind of what's going to happen. Jesus' mom's name's Mary. And Mary, along with Jesus and his friends, the disciples, they get invited to this wedding feast. So they're off at the wedding. And at the wedding, they run out of wine. So, something's going to happen. Mary has an idea. What do you think Mary is going to ask Jesus to do? So before we start the story, think about, have you ever been to like a birthday party or some kind of celebration? What are some of the key parts of that? There's usually people. There's usually some kind of activity or game. If it's a birthday, there's usually presents. Then there's usually cake. And you might not think about it, but there's usually something to drink. Well, they're at this wedding feast, and like I said, the wine has run out. And Mary has an idea. Let's see what happens next. Soon after his baptism, that's Jesus' baptism, there was a wedding celebration in a nearby village. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the party. The wine supply ran out during the festivities. So Jesus' mother told him, they have no more wine. Let's pause right there in the story. Has your mom or dad ever told you something that they're not really asking you a question, but they're asking you a question? Maybe they say like, your room is kind of messy. I think they knew that. I think they're saying that to give you the hint that they want you to do something about your messy room. Well, in this story, Mary's kind of doing the same thing. She again says to Jesus, they have no more wine. Let's unpause and find out what happens next. Jesus said this to his mom. Dear woman, that is not our problem. My time has not yet come. Wonder what that means. But his mother told the servants, do whatever he tells you. Just listen to him, do whatever he tells you. So let's see what happens next. So standing nearby, there were 6 stone water jars, big jars. and they were used for Jewish ceremonial washing. And each could hold 20 to 30 gallons. That's a lot of water. Think about a gallon of milk, and each one of these jars is going to hold 20 or 30 gallons of milk. That's a lot of liquid, right? So Jesus told the servants, fill the jars with water. And when the jars had been filled, he said, now dip some out and take it to the person in charge of the party that was in charge of the food and the drinks. So the servants followed the instructions. They filled up the jars with the water. They took a cup out, took it to the person that was in charge of the food and the drink at the party. We call that in our day-to-day the caterer. So when the master of ceremonies, the caterer, tasted the water that was now wine, not knowing where it had come from, though of course the servants knew where it came from, he called the groom over. The groom is the guy that got married, right? Okay, so he calls the groom over and says, a host always serves the best wine first. But, and then he said, so that when everyone has had a lot to drink, then he brings out the less expensive wine. But you have kept the best for now. So not only did Jesus turn this water into wine, it was like really, really, really good wine. And the guy couldn't believe it. Like, why would you save the great stuff for the end of the party, right? So this miraculous sign at Cana in Galilee was the first time Jesus revealed his glory. So it was like the first time Jesus did a miracle, kind of a thing. That's recorded in the Bible. And his friends believed in him. So that's the story for today. Let's go back and do a little bit of retell. So questions. What was the first thing that happened? They went to a party. What was the second thing that happened? What happened at the party? Yeah, go ahead and tell the people you're around. Or just say it out loud. Okay, so at the party they run out of wine. Then what happens? Mary kind of puts this little hint in and says, they're out of wine. Just kind of says that around Jesus, like, hey, you can do something about it, right? Then what happens next? Jesus says, no, mother, it's not my time yet. Then what happens next? Do you remember what Mary does anyways? She goes and tells the servants, just do whatever Jesus says. Okay? So next up after that, Jesus goes over and says, all right, fill these jars with water, and then take a cup and take it to the master of ceremonies. So that happens. They do that. What happens after that? What does the master of ceremonies say? He pulls the groom over, remember? I can't believe you saved the good stuff for the end of the party. This is crazy. Most people bring that, they bring the cheap stuff out at the end, right? Wow. And that was pretty much the end of the story. And that was that was in a place called Cana, and that was the first time Jesus revealed his glory. So, let's see. Why do you think, just wonder about this, what do you think Jesus means when he says, my time has not yet come, when he said that to his mom? And since it was the first time Jesus performed a miracle in public, how do you think Mary knew that Jesus could help with the wine problem? How do you think his mom knew that? All right, so now that we've kind of retold it together, now it's time for you to do a little bit of retelling on your own. Here's some ideas. Today, this would be a great idea, number one, to try. You get a piece of paper, and if you remember all the parts of the story, you could even go back and watch the video again, that little end part where we did the retell. You could draw a picture for each part of the story. That'd be kind of a neat way to remember how the story progressed. Another really fun thing to do would be pretend you go back in time and you're a reporter. So you're going to need a microphone. If you don't have a microphone, a hairbrush works really well. So you can go around and interview, this is Mr. Tim for Cana News, reporting on the miracle that we have witnessed at this wedding. First, let's interview Mary. And then you can pretend to be Mary. I told Jesus he should go and tell the servants that you could do something? And then let's see what the servants had to say. He told us to just fill up these jars with water. So that's what we did. And then we had the master of ceremonies give a cup to the groom. And then you could interview the master of ceremonies. Like, and what did you do once you tasted that wine? Well, I went and got the groom because I couldn't believe this. You get the idea. So you can retell the story like you're a reporter. That would be super fun. And there in your little kit, you can create, I'm still talking to my microphone, that's pretty sweet. And the little kit you have, you can actually learn how to make an origami. That's how you create something out of folding paper up. You can make an origami cup that will actually hold water. That would be pretty cool to try out. So try any of those things. They're fun to do and it helps you connect with the story. I've enjoyed connecting with you and hope you can take something away from the story and remember it. And thank you, Jesus, for all the miracles that you do. See you later.